at least making them richer at the expense of participants. That's the topic of today's conversation. It's a follow on the last conversation we had on this channel, where we're talking about how MSD programs make the rich richer. And essentially what we're focusing on is the private sector engagement. How do we engage private sector businesses in such a way that it's not at the expense of our participants? There are three questions I think we need to answer. The first is, why is it necessary to actually get private sector involved in the work that we do? The second is, what do we need these private sector actors to do? The third is, how do we get them to do it? So the first question is fairly straightforward, isn't it? I mean, why do we get them involved? We get them involved because we've identified four potential underlying causes of the constraints of our participants. Typically, it is that products and services are not available, products and services are not affordable, products and services are not accessible, or they may simply not be aware of the products and services that will enhance their income and their well-being. In humanitarian sector, what generally would happen is that they would directly provide this as a humanitarian response. And typically that happens in an emergency. But for development professionals, what we ought to do, right, is to really identify which one of these four underlying causes, or perhaps a combination of the causes, that we can bottle down to a function and identify what that function is, identify potential market actors that can perform that function, and perform it in such a way that it is profitable for them and profitable for our participants. Now, that last point is essential. It has to be profitable for our participants. So the market actor need to be aware of that from the beginning of the conversation of partnership. So that's essentially answering the first question. In addition to this, though, to the first answer to the first question, private sector have more resources. They're creative, they have technology, they have capacity, market intelligence, far better than what we have as development practitioners. So it's important for us to leverage on all of those attributes so we can create a sustainable economy that is inclusive of everybody. The market actors making money, the participants making money. So that's the answer to the first question, why it's necessary. The second question is, what do we want them to do? Now, we want private sector actors to design products, to design services in such a way that it's affordable, accessible, available to the participants. It's important for the participants to get direct benefit from whatever the product and service is. And it's important for the market actor to do this profitably. Now, that's essentially what we need them to do. And the reason we need them to do this is so the relationship between the market actor and the participant, it's an ongoing relationship that's mutually benefiting both of them. So that's the answer to the second question. The more interesting question is, how do we do this? Now, as development professionals, it's incumbent on us to first understand the context in which our participants exist and how that context inform the feasibility and viability of the function that we wish the private sector actor to perform. So if we want a company to come and deliver a product or a service into the community of our participants, we have to be very clear that this is feasible and is viable before we start the engagement. It's a lot of work. It's time-consuming work. It requires us to do market analysis, meaning we need to know the size of the market. We need to know how much the participants can afford. In some cases, we break the bulk meaning you can change a 50 kg bag into a 1 kg, 5 kg, or 10 kg bag so the participants can afford it. So, and it has to be in such a way that the channel in which this product get into the participants community or get out of the participant community is in such a way that it benefits profitably the participants and the market actor. So we have to have designed all of this in advance of engaging with the market actor. We then create a compelling case, a compelling business case. And it has to be compelling to the extent that the private sector actor will feel that it will be missing out if it doesn't invest in this opportunity that you've presented. That is what it encourages the private sector actor to invest, will compel them to invest because they will feel that they're missing out on potential opportunity that can go to their competitor. Now, the reason it has to be profitable for the participants as well is that in whatever design the private sector actor comes up with, you as the development practitioner must be on the side of the participant to show what it is that they can afford, the frequency of delivery, and how the participants will like it delivered. And all of that together forms the demand side and the supply side of a particular product or service. And it is in this area that we begin to see that profitable or people getting richer will be not limited to just the business people, but the participants as well. Now, we can talk about this for a very long time, but the crust of the matter really is that we have to make sure that the private sector get rich, but not at the expense of the participants. The participants also have to get rich, meaning they are either consuming the product to enhance their well-being, they're supplying the private sector actor to increase their income and have a sustainable livelihood, or they're working in such a way that they have decent work that will create enough income for them to meet their basic needs and grow from their basic needs. Now, this has gone on for too long, so I will limit my conversation to this. Please, if there are any other way that you believe that private sector actors can be engaged without the development practitioner creating the case, value proposition that is so compelling that they will want to invest even if you as a program is not investing. That's the work we have to do as MSD professionals. We have to make the case a lot more compelling, and we only invest when we see that this private sector actor cannot invest at the time we want them to invest or at the scale in which we want them to invest. So we buy down some of the risks that they may be experiencing or may have identified in our conversation of partnership. These are the things that I think we ought to consider when we're doing private sector engagement as market systems professional. I'm sure you have your views. Please leave your own suggestions and ideas in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.